What's going on, Lock Talk family? It's your boy Jason. We're back for another YouTube video breakdown. But hey, before I go off and start talking about this game right here behind me, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps me push out more videos. And hey man, last week on the YouTube free plays, we went absolutely crazy. 4-2 on the YouTube free plays, man. What else more do you want, man? And let's go do another streak. It is Cyber Monday, so I got an insane special on my premium. So if you guys do want it, go to that pinned comment down below or the description. You can get on with us in premium for the rest of the year at an insane price, man. Insane price. I've never done a deal just like this. We're gonna end the year off in the super green, man. We're already up 109 units on the year, so let's go finish the year up strong. But let's talk about this game right here, man. We got the Denver Broncos against the Cleveland Browns. The Denver Broncos are at home, 6-point favorites. This line moved from 5 to 6. So let's go talk about this game. In general, I love to talk about first is where the money's at. So we take a look at this game spread. I mean, obviously the line was at 5, then we're all the way down to 6. Denver is a big favorite in this game, and as you can clearly see, everyone is on Denver. It makes sense, man. Denver has looked fantastic. We've made money, I think, 2 straight games with them already. We're on them against Atlanta, against Vegas, against KC. I mean, Denver's gotten the job done, but I'd say this too, man. Cleveland's also gotten the job done as well. They've covered a few games. They beat Pittsburgh outright, and they also beat the Ravens outright and covered. They lost these 2 games right here, but let's talk about this game. Obviously, this is a much different type of game. Denver Broncos are playing at home where they play their best football. The market is definitely leaning more towards the Denver Broncos. Obviously 7-5 on the season so far. Cleveland Browns 3-8. So I mean, if you just take a look at their overall record, you're already seeing who's having a better season. I do think Bo Nix is a legit quarterback. I think he has a lot of ability. He's pretty smart. He can use his legs. He's tough. I like Bo Nix. I know some people are not a great fan of him, but let's take a look at the matchup right here in terms of the team rankings. Denver Broncos rank 2nd in score, while the Cleveland Browns are ranked 31st, which is definitely fair. But I'll say this, in the beginning of the season, obviously Watson was not doing good. He got hurt. Nick Chubb wasn't really fully back. He was hurt still. They didn't really play, so they didn't have a lot of their guys playing at all. They've kind of gotten some of their guys back, which is why you've seen them beat some legit teams like the Steelers and the Ravens. But I'll also say this, for some reason, this Cleveland Browns team always plays their division very tough. Is this a division game? No, but we'll see if they get up for it. I'll say that much. But overall, the Denver Broncos have had a really, really good defense. 5th in first downs, you can see over there. Another thing that's really important is that they've also been very good at stopping rushing yards, which is the main thing I think the Browns need to get figured out. They need to utilize Nick Chubb. If they can utilize Nick Chubb, I think they can possibly give the Denver Broncos a run for their money. This will definitely be tough in Denver, as a lot of teams have a tough time playing in Denver. I say many times before for other sports. Maybe this season is not really the case, but prior seasons, the Nuggets, always really tough playing them in Denver with that thin air in the mountains. And then same thing with Colorado. It's a tough place to play for a lot of pitchers because that ball just goes flying. It's a different environment. So not saying that Cleveland Browns, that you cannot win in Denver, but I'll say this, at least in Cleveland, the weather's terrible over there. It's very cold. So it's not like they're like Miami, where they're going from a hot weather environment to a really cold mountainous environment like Denver, but still much different. I also like to mention that in this game, when we look at the total, 42.5 over under. This line opened up at 42, so this suggests that a lot of people are moving this line. It actually opened up at 41.5, so we'll see. I think overall, the main reason why this total is tough, even though the Denver Broncos have such a strong defense, is that the Browns defense is absolutely terrible. I mean, 25th in red zone efficiency. They are really good at stopping first downs, but in terms of allowing rushing yards and passing yards, they have not been good. They just give a lot of opportunities to a bunch of guys, man. I mean, they don't really force turnovers. They don't really force a lot. They do force some QB hurries, but I do think Bo Nix, with his legs, and he's faced some guys that really put some pressure on him, he could probably get out of it. But overall, I mean, I do think guys like Myles Garrett, etc., they can put some pressure on Bo Nix, but it's not like he hasn't faced any good defenses before. Overall, I will also say this, like in general, we take a look at kind of like the strength of schedule. Denver obviously played a pretty tough strength of the schedule so far. 23rd for Cleveland, and then strength of victory, which I think is a pretty cool stat. The Cleveland Browns have actually, like I said, they've recently been beating some pretty top tier teams in the Steelers and the Ravens. Denver, they mean some, okay teams overall, but obviously take a look over here, team rankings. Even though I've said Denver Broncos are a really good home team, I mean, they're only 3-2 at home, 4-3 away. Cleveland Browns, 1-4 on the road. Take that with a grain of salt. This is just information overall. Overall, it's also the public betting. Everyone's on the Broncos for sure. But, also people are also on that over. And the reason why, like I said, just that the Browns defense has not been good. But I'll also say this. Jameis Winston, he replaced Deshaun Watson in week 8. He has a really quick release. He averages 2.45 seconds average time to throw versus Watson, which at 2.76, which does not sound like a lot, but that extra, tenth of a second really matters a lot. It's improved their passing metrics, and he can create some insane opportunities, man. He may not always make the best decisions. He's kind of like Richardson from the Colts, in my opinion, but he can make things happen, man. Like when you need a play, either he's going to get it done or he's going to turn the ball over, which can go both ways for an over and under, man. So which is why it's always tough playing guys like Jameis Winston, because even though he might seem like he's out, he could pull something out the bag. But hey, you can't always rely on that. Also, I'll say in terms of the Cleveland side, their offensive line has definitely gotten healthier. They've gotten some key pieces back, which I said in my last analysis when they did play the Steelers. They got back their center, right guard, and right tackle. But they're still using a third string left tackle, but still nonetheless, it's a huge improvement, which is going to help their offense. So even though Denver Broncos have a good pass rush and a good defense, this improved offensive line is definitely extremely important in this game. Overall, I'll say this, though. The run game for the Browns has still struggled. Nick Chubb has not done anything really. But nonetheless, with this offensive line coming back, maybe they can continue seeing some improvement overall. But it's remain inefficient. Overall, I think Winston's strength aligned with Denver's heavy use of man coverage and cover one, where he ranks top 10 against this type of coverage, though. So, we'll see. He actually, I think, has a favorable matchup in terms of how Broncos run their defense. Overall, I also think that the Browns, let me go back to the matchup. I think the matchup overall is for the defensive side, though, for the Browns. Strength of the unit, they rank 6th in blitz rate and 1st in pressure rate. So can they give problems to Bo Nix? I don't know. I think Bo Nix will be able to get through some of these difficulties and possibly still get some offense going. But overall, the one thing I will say on the defensive side, the Cleveland Browns will be without safety Juan Thornhill. And they've still been on Korma for a long time. But, let's take a look. Where is he at? Osawa, and then Thornhill's right there. So big injuries, but they've been missing Jeremiah for a long time, though. Overall, I think, let's see. And now I want to kind of talk a little bit more about this Broncos team. So the Broncos, they played much better at home. They have better home yards per attempt, better pass rating for Bo Nix. But, they've also been top 10 in avoiding sacks and limiting turnovers went under duress. So even though I mentioned this Cleveland Browns pass rush and their pressure, he's done very good in those. In the run game, they've also kind of struggled. Cleveland has a pretty good run defense, but it's been inconsistent. It's been vulnerable to, teams that have not been in their division. But I just think that for some reason, the Browns always get up for the Steelers, and they really got up for that Ravens game for some reason. I don't know if he doesn't like Lamar Jackson. I don't know, but I'll also say this on the Denver side. Their pass protection has been pretty good. Elite offensive metrics, 2nd in PFF pass blocking rate and 4th in adjusted stack rate. So his Bo Nix's offensive line has done a great job in protecting him and defending him overall. I'll say also the Denver Broncos defense has been very good, like I mentioned earlier in this video. And I think the heavy use of man coverage and cover one, even though I mentioned the pass rush, Jameis Winston can perform well in this. I'll also say Denver Broncos are also missing a key defensive piece. Let me take a pull it up. They'll be without Riley Moss, a big cornerback. So, I mean, even if they're able to pressure the Browns and Jameis Winston, and the one thing is Winston does pretty good against their type of coverage, and they're missing a key cornerback, in my opinion. So we'll see. Maybe Jameis Winston can get some points off. But let me cut to the chase here. Where would I go in this game? If I had to pick a side in this game, I would potentially lean with the Broncos. I do think the Broncos are the better team. I think they have the better offense. They have a defense that could definitely give problems to Jameis Winston. I just don't trust Jameis Winston too much. I'm a little scared that he can make mistakes here and there. And overall, Cleveland's offensive struggle, especially on the road. That's the one thing I'll say on the road. And Winston's like turnover capacity, it makes you tough to want to back them even at a +6 number. Even though the public's all over Denver, I mean, I think Denver's the side. I think they have a home field advantage that they'll definitely use in this game. But in terms of the total, I think the over is where I want to lean. Even though I said all these things about Jameis Winston and his turnover ability, I think that those turnovers can result into scoring for Denver. But vice versa, I think also Jameis Winston with the matchup, he can still score. So I think both sides will be able to contribute to the over. What do I like more? It's a tough one, man. And honestly, if I want to play this game, I kind of want to look at this, man. I want to take a look at a different type of game, or a different type of play. I'm looking at the Denver Broncos team total. If we can get that, I think we can get it at over 23.5 points. That's a key number under 24 points. So basically, you get like basically 3 touchdowns and a field goal. You could cover this number. I like the Broncos team total over 23.5. I think they're gonna score for sure on the Browns, and they'll be efficient in this game. But if not, I also like the over in this game. You could also possibly do like a teaser on the maybe the Browns 6.5 and the over 36. So then you get basically Broncos money line, and then for the team, both teams to score over 36 points. But I think the Broncos will definitely be able to score on the Cleveland Browns. I think there's going to be possibilities for turnovers on the Cleveland side, which will lead to a short field for the Broncos. And then we see some scoring from the Broncos side. But yeah, guys, if you've been enjoying this content and like my breakdowns and want to see more of me, hit the subscribe button, man. And I'll see you guys in the next one.